when I look at this table, the unfunded capital amounts, the 40 million for 2013 and 2013 to 2022, 810 million, and that's above a 2% annual levy. You've spoken about the infrastructure deficit for quite some time. You've talked about the need for the federal government to recognize.
Right. That's why they're so big. Because we're not getting the funding. It's all ad hocery.
Right. I just want you to talk. I'm not even going to really ask you a question, but I want you to talk about, you're looking at out to 2022, and as it says, almost $1 billion in unfunded capital. If you're a resident of Mississauga, the reality is that either these projects are going to get postponed and postponed and postponed unless the federal government steps in, or you're going to see like a 10% increase in your property tax.
That's exactly what's going to happen in all municipalities all across Canada. Because if you think that ours is a backlog of $1 billion, I would like to know what the backlog of Toronto is, or Vancouver, Winnipeg, Montreal, etc. And that's exactly what the Federation of Canadian Municipalities is saying, that the deficit in infrastructure funding in the country is now, it used to be $135 billion, and it's now up to $160 billion. That's the picture. And that just shows you that we're getting behind. All municipalities are behind. I think ours is possibly one of the lowest of the backlog.
Now, what about tools? Let's say hypothetically, let's say the feds say, sorry, we've got the one infrastructure fund, and if it doesn't come out of that, there's no more. What about things like a land transfer tax?
Right.
What about things like a land transfer tax?
Well, we're looking at taxes now that Metrolinx has come forward, that we still don't have the public reaction to an additional tax to fund the gridlock in the GTA. So it's a big question, this whole question of how our infrastructure funding is going to be financed.
What about a land transfer tax? Would you go to the province to ask for the power to enact a land transfer tax?
We are now dealing with the Metrolinx. They do not recommend transfer tax for the province to consider.
But that's for
They do not recommend toll roads.
But that's for transportation.
Yeah.
I'm talking about some of your infrastructure costs.
We are not recommending any taxes. The province that has. We have no control over what taxes. The only tax that we can control is property tax.
Right. But do you have a feeling about, should Mississauga pursue bringing in a land transfer tax?
No, I don't think we should pursue any taxes at this time without knowing the financial impact of it. We don't know. We don't even know what it would do in regard to the sales tax.
Okay, because last year in council, in public, you had suggested that maybe the city
let's get that straight, because I'm glad you brought it up. Yeah. We asked the staff to look at the transfer tax. Right. We had a briefing down at Port Credit Arena.
Yeah.
And the staff, we talked about many taxes. And the staff we asked the staff to look at the transfer tax. At no time did any member of council say they supported a transfer tax.
Exactly.
We asked staff to look at a lot of things.
Right.
And if we ask staff to look at a thing, the press should not interpret that as the mayor or members of council supporting it.
Right.
That's the misinformation that's given to the public and causes all kinds. I have never said I support toll roads. I always have said I would like to look at toll roads.
Right.
It's quite different.
Right.
This council has never taken a stand on any tax yet. We're going to have to deal with the Metrolinx recommendations in regard to funding the congestion in the GTA. And we will have that debate down the road as to what tax that we, after consultation with our citizens, like some of the large mall owners were in to see me, they don't like the parking tax fee. And as I said to them, what do you offer as the alternative? Well, they said, we think the sales tax would be a good thing. I said, you don't pay sales tax. Secondly, that sounds good, that sounds maybe good to you, but I also have calls from some senior citizens telling me that they don't want sales tax. They can't afford now to buy the things they'd like to buy to have some of the quality of life, etc. So I said, here you are complaining about the parking tax, and they have good reasons for it. So it's a very complicated formula because of the way in which cities develop. I mean, the 905 area in regard to parking is quite different to the downtown Toronto parking.
Right. Sorry, just to get back to the unfunded capital projects. So if we don't get money from the feds,
Yeah.
is the answer to Mississauga residents that some of these projects are just going to have to keep getting postponed?
Well, they'll have to be unless we want to tax people out of their homes. And I don't think any member of council wants to do that. So I'm hoping, we fought 12 years to get the gas tax, but we won eventually. It took 12 years, though, to do it at the federation level. And I think we're working hard, I am working hard to convince the private sector and to convince especially the corporate sector that they got to come to the table in regard to the congestion in the GTA. It's a disadvantage to their employees that the congestion exists. So we all have to come together to decide how we're going to solve the infrastructure needs generally, but specifically in the GTA, the congestion.
And sorry, I just got one question. There was a specific item on the GC agenda, the provincial offences tickets.
The which?
The provincial offences
Yes.
tickets, the fines, the outstanding fines, 37.9 million. The pilot program now with other municipalities to try to recover that through levying it onto the property tax bill.
Yeah, we would like to have the same authority that 407 has. You don't pay your 407 tax, your license is withheld. We would like to have what the private sector has, that the provincial government, previous provincial government, gave 407 the authority that if you don't pay your 407 bill, it's listed on your license. They can refuse to renew your license. All we're asking for is to get the same authority at the local level. And I have to give this government credit that they have recognized, this government has recognized that these fines have got to be paid and that we are suffering seriously. In fact, sometimes it's not worth issuing the license, the charge, because if they don't pay it, they may never pay it.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
We got a lot of challenges.
Just one quick question for you.
Who are you?
Chris Clay, Mississauga News.
The which? Mississauga News?
Yep, just curious.
Hi, how are you? I haven't seen you for a while.